Hey everybody, good afternoon. It's Coach Jessica, and I just wanted to stop in and talk with y'all about this last week here in the group. Today I really wanted to encourage you to go back and look over the last month and think about the concepts that you've been introduced to, what you have learned. But more than that, I want to encourage you to focus on what you're actually doing that's different. The message that I really want to get across is that sobriety requires pursuit. Knowing the right things to do, understanding what you need to do, it won't get you to where you want to go. You have to actually pursue it. You have to go after it. You have to change it. And, you know, I've said this a couple of times before at different times, but I want you to understand that what you are focused on becomes the center of your universe. So if you think about, well, is recovery the center of my universe? Is that what I'm focused on? That isn't necessarily a good thing. Because a lot of times being focused on recovery means I'm focused on Ed. I'm focused on the problem that I have. And even if the focus is a good focus, meaning I'm trying to get free of it, focusing on your sickness, focusing on, you know, getting free from Ed can become problematic for you. So what do you do instead? You have to focus on living. You have to focus on what you want your life to look like. You have to focus on the future. You have to focus on what it is you're pursuing. And so there is a vast difference. Like I said, it requires pursuit, but it's not about running from Ed. It's running towards something. And I think some of you guys that are struggling are literally spending most of your days running from Ed. And that is what the issue is. And, you know, part of that comes from seeing Ed as someone who has like all this power in your life, when in fact, I hope I've really tried to unravel that and let you know that Ed really doesn't have that much power. He certainly doesn't have the power to make you act. He can only plant a thought. But when your sickness, when the eating disorder is all consuming, it really does become like the center of your universe. It's everything's focused around that. So how do you pursue sobriety and not put all your focus on your sickness or running from Ed, instead running towards? I think one of the things that's really important is to understand what your life can look like if you're well. And I know that can be hard if you've been sick for a really long time. It was hard for me because I had been sick for 41 years. It was really hard for me to picture my life any different than what it was, than the sick, the addicted. But I think this is where you have to access some type of hope. You have to say, if this is what my life is like sick, if I am secretive, if I am food obsessed, if I am weak, if I don't have energy, then what would my life look like if I had energy? What would my life look like if I wasn't sick? What would I do with my time if I wasn't obsessed with food? What would I do with my money if I wasn't spending it on binging? You have to allow yourself to dream and start to think forward. So again, like what might you look like if you're healthy? If you're overweight, what might you be like if you lost weight? Would you enjoy shopping? Would you enjoy doing activities you can't do? I had a client one time and I asked her this, and it was interesting because she was quite a bit overweight, and she had this memory of when she was a child, and she said, you know what, I would just love, she was in her late 60s, and she said, I would just love to be able to get on a horse again. And so when she started pursuing that, instead of when she was thinking about what her choices were for the day, like, am I going to do this or I'm going to do this? Instead of being like, oh, I'm so scared of Ed, I'm so scared I'm going to mess up, it was like, I'm going to make a good decision, because she could picture herself getting on a horse. And that's what she wanted. So what is your horse? What is the thing that you are pursuing? And so I want to make sure your mindset is right around that, that you are pursuing wellness, that you're pursuing health, that you're pursuing a future that allows you to do things that you can't do today. A peaceful future, a prosperous future. And so I think that that's really, really important. Then the other thing is go back and review. Where are you at with commitment? Sorry about that. Where are you at with really understanding Ed and his nature? Are you stopping? Are you halting when you're in a danger zone? Have you made those lists of your own personal danger zones? Do you actually stop when you're in a danger zone and work through what is your real need? Are you making sure that you're nutritionally nourished? And so I really, really encourage you in this last week that we have together to think about how you're using the information that you've gotten so far. Again, it's one thing to know. Sobriety requires doing. It requires action. So I really wanted to hopefully just kind of get you thinking along the right path, right? What are you actively doing? And I would love for you to share that. Also, really think about, again, am I pursuing something? Am I running towards something? Even if it's an unknown, it's better than running from Ed. I always think of like a horror movie where you're running from like Friday the 13th, you're running from Jason, and like no matter how far you run, like you can run really fast and he's going slow, but he overtakes you. That's, some of y'all are seeing Ed that way. And it doesn't have to be that way. When you get your eyes on the future and you're running towards health and you're running towards longevity and you're running towards life, you kind of forget he's back there even. You just, you don't look back, or you rarely look back. And I think that is just a better way to live. Tomorrow I'm going to do another video and talk about adjusting our language when it comes to how we refer to ourselves. And I really want that to be something that we focus on this week. What is the language that we use? I'll give you an example. A lot of times people say, well, I fell off the wagon. And that's one of my least favorite things. Not just that phrase, but that thing of like, again, this is not taking responsibility for your actions. When you choose to not work the process and eat off plan, you didn't fall. It wasn't something passive that happened to you. You took part in that and it was active. So some words that we use and phrases like that, they kind of absolve us from being responsible for what happened, and it's really important in your sobriety to take responsibility. So you might think about, what are the things that you say or think that take away your responsibility? Another one is, sometimes you guys are like, well, Ed got me. And remember, we've already established Ed can't get you. You have to take responsibility for the fact that you listened to Ed and you made a decision not to work through the steps and work through that, or to come for help, or you need to own it. But other times it's about things like, again, about our identity, like, I'm just always going to be sick. That's something that I used to say. And instead of saying, you know what, I've struggled for a long time, but I wonder what I'll be like when I'm not sick. Adjusting those things so that you can hear yourself. So I'll do a separate video about that, because that's the other thing I really want to focus on this week and be talking about, is the way that we talk to ourselves. We talked on Saturday about our beliefs, but the words that come out of our mouth based on those false beliefs that we might have from childhood or from elsewhere, that is something you can catch yourself and reverse and adjust that. So that's what I'll be talking about tomorrow. Hope everybody is having a good week so far. And again, I just really encourage you to take a minute and just reflect and say, what am I doing differently? How am I seeing things differently? And then how are my actions different too? It's really good to start to understand, but it's more important that you actually put something into place. So everybody have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon.